Day 14 of the Diddy trial started with a bang. Woof! Wait till you hear what happened today. Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and it's time for another Daily Diddy, bringing you daily trial updates from the P. Diddy trial every day until we have a verdict. So, kicking off the day was a disturbance in the courtroom. A woman got up and started screaming, "They're laughing at Diddy! It's not right what they're doing to him! Ah!" The judge was like, "You better take that foolishness up out of here." And so law enforcement had to come snatch her up and take her out the courtroom. And that's before the jury got started and all of that. So that's how the day started. So then next up was Eddie Garcia. So he was the first witness for today. He was the security guard at the Intercontinental in California where Cassie was brutalized by Diddy and the whole video happened. So the video is very interesting on what happened next. So Eddie Garcia said he didn't realize when he actually first saw the footage of the video back in 2016, he didn't realize who was involved. He didn't realize it was Diddy and Cassie. Then later on, he was told, of course, who they were. And the police were not contacted after the incident initially happened, nor did Cassie request medical attention. So he ends up getting a phone call from Christina Courtroom, who was the chief of staff for Diddy, and she was like, "Yo, let me get the tape." And he was like, "No, get a subpoena." And so she was like, "No, for real, let me get the tape." And he's like, "No, get a subpoena." So then next thing he knows, he gets phone calls on his personal cell phone that like nobody had. And it was Christina Courtroom again. And then eventually Diddy being like, "Listen, I need that tape. It's going to destroy my career. You know how women are. One thing leads to another. You know, can you help me out? Blah, blah, blah." So he was like, Eddie was like, "All right, let me go talk to my supervisor." His supervisor was like, so before Eddie went to go talk to his supervisor, Diddy had said, "Listen, you know, I can take care of y'all," which he took to mean money. So he tells this to his supervisor. His supervisor's like, they can get the tape for 50 grand. So he ends up talking to Diddy again. Diddy then they end up on a FaceTime call. Diddy puts Cassie on the call. And Cassie was like, he's like, "Tell him that you want the tape to go away." And Cassie was like, "I want the tape to go away." So fine. They make the deal, 50 grand, no problem. Diddy and his team end up showing up at the hotel. He makes them sign a non-disclosure agreement. So Eddie had to sign an NDA that had a penalty of $1 million if anyone else got a copy of the tape, if he told anybody about what happened. Meanwhile, the man was making $10.50 an hour. So basically the bodyguard stood over him, he signed it, and then Diddy comes with a brown paper bag, stacks of cash, a money counter, and hands them $100,000. So with that $100,000, it got split up between the security guards and all of that, as well as the supervisor. And Eddie was told not to make any large purchases, which he didn't, and ended up buying and paying cash for a car and never deposited it in the bank or anything like that. And then Diddy was like, "Oh my God, you know, you're my angel." And he was all like, "I'm going to have the best Easter because you made this go away for me. You're just the greatest guy, whatever." And so that was all disturbing. So of course, when the police made inquiries, he, of course, lied to the police and was like, "I don't know anything." He eventually got an attorney. And then when prosecutors came knocking, he then told the truth. So there was that. Next up was Derek Ferguson, who was the former CFO of Combs Enterprises. He used to be the chief financial officer for Bad Boy Entertainment, and he sometimes reported to Diddy. He was really critical because he talked about the money trail within the organization. So Derek Ferguson handled the budgets, the salaries, he was involved in deal making, and at times he was responsible for Diddy's personal finances. He went through with the prosecution and showed all the accounts and kind of showed the money trail throughout the organization. But what was really critical about his testimony is that he identified a transaction on December 23rd, 2011 from Cassie Ventura's dad in the amount of $20,000. Now you remember Cassie's mom got on the stand, Regina, and she said Diddy threatened to release one of the freak off tapes if we didn't give him 20 grand. So we did. Hello, that's called extortion. That's one of the predicate crimes for RICO. We already have kidnapping from the gun to Capricorn Clark's head when he held her at gunpoint over the whole Kid Cudi thing and was trying to do a exchange with Cassie. So we've got now 2 predicate crimes. So now the prosecution has pretty much proven RICO. Huge, huge, huge. So court ended after that bit of testimony because Remember Mia, who testified under a pseudonym? Her face was in all the sketches was kind of blurred and all of that because her identity was not supposed to be revealed. Well, apparently, in a blip or some weird thing, her face temporarily got streamed into the overflow room, and then a news outlet saw it and then started running the picture and her identity and all of that. So the prosecution was like, hello, stop, this is not cool. The judge was like, write up an order, and I made order the outlet not only not run it, but they're also going to be banned from the courtroom moving forward. And this is critical because there's another survivor by the name of Jane who's supposed to testify. And so, if people's identities aren't really being kept secret, that's a problem. So we'll see if Jane testifies tomorrow, as well as more witnesses. I'll be back. Take care.